Eric. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me here, Matthew.
What brings you to ICOE?
Well, what brings me here is that this is a show that's in the Western France, and my U.S. Consulate, American President's Post, covers Western France, Normandy, Brittany, and the Pays de la Loire. And it's renewable energy is something that is becoming one of the pillars of the economy in this region.
And what sort of technologies are you bringing with you?
Well, I'm bringing in companies that there are 6 companies on my booth. One company, GE Measurement and Control, is involved in testing, and I have another company, Bentley Nevada, that's involved in monitoring, and also Caterpillar is there for obvious reasons, because Caterpillar is so present in the offshore industry. I also have Thrustmaster of Texas, which is involved in auxiliary and main propulsion, bow thrusters, but also a lot of other applications, azimuth thrusters that can be used on barges to, install marine energy installations offshore. I also have Amatec, which makes subsea connectors for arrays and solutions for offshore wind or that sort of thing. And these companies were all present on my booth and have been since yesterday.
And are you seeing a growing trend in technologies for this market?
I'm seeing a growing trend in interest in this market, especially in the United States, for example. I see a lot of states, for example, Oregon is here, the state of Oregon is represented today, and a number of people from the Pacific Northwest are interested. There's, for example, a test site for wave energy in Oregon that's working, and there's also another one for tidal stream turbines in Washington, on the Puget Sound in Washington State. There are other projects that I see here and there, and I hear about a lot of offshore wind, floating and fixed turbines. Floating off the coast of California, simply because the continental shelf is so steep off the coast of California that it's very difficult to put fixed wind turbines. So floating seems to be the solution. There are other concessions that have been laid claim to, or that people have been requesting, and have received licenses to possibly put offshore wind farms, even as far down on the East Coast as North Carolina. So yeah, I see it in New York State, and we look at the Block Island project, which is I believe functioning now off Rhode Island and near Block Island. And that's so yes, it's something that we know of, and that people, in particularly in states and cities, are interested in local solutions that make a lot of sense.
And what's most exciting you about this sector?
Well, what excites me about this sector is there are a lot of crossover technologies. I know the oil and gas industry fairly well. I go to the Offshore Technology Conference, as I said earlier, in Houston, or I come across companies that work in the offshore oil and gas business, but there are a lot of crossover technologies that are simply applicable to blue energy, and I think that's what gets me. It's really excited. It's a way of diversifying for companies that have been in oil and gas, and the same thing goes for the U.S. companies that are on the booth. They see a lot of applications that are possible, and that's I'm always interested in that as far as in terms of the commercial work that I do at the U.S. Consulate for Western France.
And how's the show been for you this year?
It's been a good show. Made a lot of contacts, a lot of new people, organizations as well. Some of the companies on the booth have been saying that they really appreciate the contacts that they've been making sort of unexpectedly, and often, it's the ephemeral contacts that you make during a show that you never know are going to pan out. Then suddenly one day somebody calls you up and said, we need that particular technologies you're offering yesterday. We needed it for yesterday. So these shows are indispensable in developing one's business, and that's something I always tell people to go to trade shows. And this has been a very interesting one. I like the booths, but I like the talks that people are giving. ICOE is a very good organization. I've gone to a few of the shows over the past years, namely one Le Havre last year. So no, it's I think that my impression is positive, and that of the companies too.
Excellent. Eric, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me.